Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 267 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to finish up with our fish, this time by pressing them into the oil that we need. Enjoy. I don't know if any of this stuff is being built on the bus or not. If not, we probably should make it. So we need the oil press. And it's kind of hard to tell when it's the Where's Waldo of Angel's manufacturing machines. Do you see it? Because I don't. It's been a while since we've actually built an oil press, so it kind of makes sense that it wouldn't be around. Get going, please. We're only going to need a few of them. Same with the filtration units. We just need 6 of those. 2 of these oil refiners. We definitely made a lot of them. So I'm glad I set these down to 50 so we won't make quite as many in the future. And then we need 8. Okay. Oh, I'm not seeing any warnings. Let's see, but this isn't running anymore because no more iron again. Is that because it's just all gone now? Yep. No more iron and nothing we can do about it. Alright, well, we'll leave it there for now then. I don't want to keep moving stuff around. It might be more work than it's worth. Considering once we hook up all the ingots, we'll have all the iron we need. First, we need to find somewhere to do this. It's not going to take up too much space, but there's no point in crowding, so it kind of makes sense to do it right here. So all these are going to turn our fish into mush. Then we're going to get 10 pulp a second, which will come down there. It'll get processed later, but we have these filtration units, which I suppose we can put here. We're going to do the first method. That uses the coal frames, and because it's being down here, we probably don't need this one up there. Uh-oh. Spider's causing damage and dropping orbs everywhere. But the wall's holding, and evolution continues to go down. So there's all our stuff. This one makes the mineral oil, which is what we want. We don't need to have this logic anymore to get rid of the fuel oil, and we're actually completely out of it, which is interesting. Why is that the case? This is not running at all. No sailing water. Are you telling me that the factory is out of sailing water? Really? No sailing water? Nope, it's in here. So what pipe got unhooked? Man, that's a lot of pipes. Oh boy. Look at all of that. Alright. Well, it goes down here. And keeps going. The saline water generator is this way. Oh, there it is. Found it. Just wasn't connected. Right there. We do have a saline generator, just in case we run out of it. So that should start going again. Yep, and now the saline water level's going down there. Was it completely empty here? Yeah, pretty much. So that makes sense. Anyway, that should all keep going. So we have mineral oil hooked up here. Basically, we only want this to run if the mineral oil gets very low. And it might help to have our own storage tank here. Now, it doesn't quite go down all the way, but with some shenanigans, we can get it to come down here. So if it's less than 10,000, which is 20%, that can run just to keep it topped up. And it wouldn't need to run now. And these have filters going in, filters going out. They're just handled by a single assembly machine. Very similar to this. So we might as well just grab the thing. And it might make more sense to process it over here, but let's see. We'll do that. But it looks like it needs to be further back. Turn it into coal filters. So long-handed pickup, regular drop. And then long-handed both. Let's put the filter in. And we probably need 200 or 300 of these things. I'll just make all of them that I have. Let's request some coal. Not sure how much this goes through. Probably not very much. Nope. And there they go. So spent filters can go in there. The coal ones can go in there. They get sucked up. And then I think the final part here is, do we want to turn it into mineral oil or lubricant? I'm assuming the machine quantity is the same either way. Well, let's check. Yeah, 100 going in. Well, let's do mineral oil first. So that'll just run to fill the mineral oil up. We probably want to have a nice level display so we can read it. And probably move this pole out of the way so it's not blocking it. Okay, so we know this thing gets dumped at 80%, so we never want it to go that high. So how about if it's below 50%? This method turns on. So this will endeavor to get it up to 20%, and this will enable to get to 50. And if it gets above 80, then it gets dumped. So 25,000. Then we need 2 more methods here. I'm assuming the pipes will be the same. Where this way, we'll make lubricant instead of mineral oil. And it needs to go down here. Then we want to change this, because we don't want it to actually fill this tank up all the way. Because we need to have room in here. And there really isn't a method in place to allow that, because flow needs to go both ways on this pipe. So we're going to pick all of this up. And each one of these machines individually is not very fast. Let's upgrade them. Are they still at tier 1? Oh wow, those are some old machines. Let's go from 1 to 3. Then we'll use some simple top-up valves for this. That way they won't fill up the tank completely full. They'll leave some room for that other system to work. And this other method will basically always run to attempt to fill it up to maximum. Okay, the machine's got here lubricant and lubricant. There we go, we've got a number now. And in the event that neither of them can run, we probably want to have an output here. So let's do an overflow valve. The flow rate will be fairly low, so I don't think it's too important to have anything crazy here. And I think it's a flare stack that this goes into. And we'll also be creating our fermentation base, which we currently have no use for. So as a result, that will get flare stacked away as well. Okay. That's most of that, but we also need to take that fish pulp and send it through a nutrient extractor to get the pulp out of it. So, how are we doing up here with fish? Have we made any yet? Seems like it, but it's not running. Well, I want to start making the fish requests. So we'll put the full 10 drones in there. So why isn't this running? If anything is more than 100. Ah, it's not more than 100. Why is that? Artificial fish water. so it couldn't find a way out. So why isn't the clarifier running? Can you not clarify artificial fish water? I guess so. Is that a flare stack item? That seems kind of weird. No. Well, let's check this then. Polluted fish water. Hidden player crafting. No way, don't tell me you can't use it. Uh-oh. That's weird. So it cannot be clarified. It has to be stored. So all of this is full then. Well, that's kind of dumb, where you have a one fluid type that you can't do anything with. Let's check this out. So let's say we had this fish water. What can we do to make it go away? Well, turn it into crystals, or turn it into alien spores. And that makes a lot of alien spores. The alien spores become alien bacteria, and this sounds like a lot of work. And the alien bacteria, I guess we can make it into goo. Can we get rid of goo? Not yet. I think we're just gonna have to put up with it. Might just have to have a ton of tanks. For now, we can send these trains down to get loaded to consume fish water that's there. Well, a lot of that is running. And it looks like the fish production is starting. The level is going down. Slowly. Well, I think there is a solution for this. Kind of. And that's a bunch of tanks. Let's just put the tanks this way, I suppose. It's a snake of tanks. There we go. I'll just put it up here. And they're all getting pumped out. Alright, we'll let that keep filling up then. I guess because it stopped running, it had slightly more fish in it. But now that they're in limbo, the level is lower. So we need some nutrient extractors. Something tells me if we didn't have oil presses, we won't have the nutrient extractors either. Not seeing anything. Wouldn't be terrible to make the same thing twice, just triggering. To have two sets of machines making the same thing. Meanwhile, biter evolution continues to go down. It's nothing too exciting, but it's down to 52%, so we are beating the biters. And it seems like consuming more biter orbs than we are collecting. But that is quite alright. I was just worried about the evolution getting out of hand and just being overwhelmed by them, but I think this will be enough for now. Certainly if we go running around shooting nests and expanding. It's kind of funny how the landfill expands where the biters die. But if we're expanding, that'll probably really knock the evolution up fast. But for now, most of the turrets seem to be doing a good job. I don't know, it's just so weird how sometimes they're like, nah, we're gonna leave it there. It's almost like it goes through cycles and it just decides to turn on and off. But it's doing a decent job, I suppose. I just wish I understood why it acted that way. Alright, there's our 2 nutrient extractors. And it looks like we're starting to get an excess of fish. Great. Okay, so we're going to have the pulp left over, which is kind of over there. And it needs to go through some nutrient extractors. Doesn't really matter where they go, but if it was lined up with this, it would be slightly convenient, but then that label is in the way. But let's go with slightly convenient. So we get rid of the fish pulp. In these 2 machines here, 5 per second, which is like a fast inserter. And then it creates nutrient pulp. And this thing, which is in the wrong spot. There we go. Okay. I think that is most of the system here. We just need to get some fish here to test it. And it's already at 80%, so it's not like it's really going to do anything. The lubricant's going down slightly, so it would work there to an extent. But remember that the factory is producing fuel oil for the purposes of the refined energy blocks here. The enriched fuel blocks. It's already maxed out, so in this situation it won't help, but at least we got rid of all that logic from before. Well, while we're waiting for the fish, are there any other little things we can do? Kind of. One thing the factory has are these little fluid dumps. Mostly it's saline water. Every once in a while there's a mineralized water one too, but there's like a saline water dump here. There's one way on the end. There's one way here. And the reason why they're all over the place is because the saline water flow is so high that these need to be local to where the water would be dumped. So if we follow saline water, is there anything else we can use the saline water for before we get rid of it? And to an extent, yes. You can actually turn it into salt, which would be quite useful. It's better than just dumping it. And that's in water treatment 4, unfortunately. So that would be a useful thing to do. You can electrolyze it to get some sodium hydroxide. But another thing you can do is just grow it in an algae farm to make brown algae. And then you can turn it into whatever you'd want, like sodium carbonate, which would then go into sodium hydroxide and then become regular sodium hydroxide. That's a lot of steps for that to go. It can be turned into lithium salt to make lithium, which of course goes into our lithium batteries, which we'll need to do relatively soon here since we do have cobalt now. So there's a couple of different things we can do with it. I kind of don't want to go through a huge effort of having a bunch of brown algae machines and electrolyzers and extra stuff, because what I'm trying to think of is what kind of solution is there to having these all over the place, and instead of just clarifying them away. Wow, that is a lot of mud. It must have clicked on for a second. I guess that's what happens is when it clicks on and off, it just sends a ton of mud. So let's double check. Since that turned on, does that mean that there is no mud up here and it needs more? Oh yeah, for sure. All 20 drones are requesting it because there is no mud. I wonder what that setting is set to. I should probably check and see what 20 drones would do, because I don't want it to like go back and forth. But I was trying to think of what can we do with that saline water. And actually turning it into salt is great, because then we would only need a salination plant there and can turn all of it into salt. We wouldn't have to clarify any of the saline water. And then that salt, because now that it's super dense, can be sent to this storage warehouse, which is completely empty. And it goes into making hydrochloric acid. There are other ways of making it as well, but the salt is definitely a direct way we can do it. That would be better than have it be clarified away. So out of all the solutions, I think that's the best, but it is water treatment 4, which is just purple science, and that's it. Gets us the faster salination plant with titanium and would make salt. So yeah, that's something we can do. I was thinking we would do one of the other setups, but that one seems the best. Because we can just do purple science and then upgrade it, it seems worthwhile to wait a little bit, rather than do a lot of work and then just have a better way. Like right here, for example, all of these clarifiers are just going full blast, getting rid of saline water. How much better it would be if we can get salt out of that and then turn that salt into acid. It'd be so much better. But that looks like it's going at full blast now. Is it collecting polluted fish water? Yeah, to some extent. For sure. So when the drones get here, what's this set at? 10,000. Let's set it to like 40,000 to give this a lot of flexibility on how it works. Because I don't want those drones to deliver a bunch of mud and then suddenly, boom, it's ejecting things out. So this needs to produce mud for this setup, but it's also putting its saline water into the system. So it kind of needs an ability to dump saline water, kind of like everything else has here. So we need a saline water dump. And that has the old poles, but oh well. So, a saline water dump can be anywhere. Let's upgrade these to not use junk pipes. Not use junk poles either. So there we go. That allows this to go at full blast, because this is making saline water for the fish, for sure. And also there is a train delivering extra saline water from the factory. Although it's empty, so is the train not here? Or not functioning? Probably should check to make sure, because it is empty. It seems like it shouldn't be. But the level's going up quick, because it's running to make mud. Looks like this thing finally built up a supply of Nexaflax seeds. But there we go, it ticks over 80. And then starts clarifying it away. So that's kind of how those water clarifier dumps work in the factory, is they're just all over the place, wherever they're needed. So it would be nice to turn that into salt, but I guess we're going to have to wait on that. Hello, mud trucks. We're going to have to wait until we have better science for that. So, was something unhooked with this saline water? Because we are trying to use it. Let's see, it's connected. It's getting pumped out. Yeah, I guess it is connected. It's just the way this is set up, is that it's being pumped through there and then immediately put in the train. Well, it doesn't make much difference if it's dumped up there or dumped down here, so I guess we'll just leave this in place because it's worked this long so far. And I see my placement of refined concrete went over the hazard markings. So probably should be a little more careful about that in the future. But we've got a little bit of it left over. We do need to have a enabled condition on here. If it's less than, yeah, like 10,000, which I guess it is. Let's fix these lines. Hey, look at that, we have 11,000 sulfur, so we're actually building it up a little bit again. So it would start right here. I wonder if using Upgrade Planner would be a better choice. Does this let us upgrade concrete? Doesn't look like it. We'll just have to be super careful about it in the future. So hopefully the fish have arrived now, and we can give our fish oil setup a test run. Even though it's probably not going to be doing very much right now, because the factory has largely caught up. But there we go. Going to get more fish. So are these nears and fars? Yep. Oh yeah, we needed to get the thermal water in there too. So that's not going to run for very long. But all of the fish goo gets sucked into those machines, turned into nutrient pulp. They seem like they're very fast. Seems like it. I'll just put these stack inserters in there. Okay. Thermal water. It's up here. Let's just take this line right here. And we do need to find a way to sneak it down here. Oh, and because of that, I totally put these pipes in the wrong spots. Because we would want it to be something like that. Ah, they trapped me. And this one is slightly in the way. And then this thermal water can come... if it can come in through here, that would work. But there we go. Thermal water is supplied. mineral oil is being made, but it's already at 80%, so that's just going to fill up. And this consumed all of the fish oil, making some base mineral oil, but the pump was turned off. And it made some lubricant. But that's the end of that, because we're actually good on mineral oil for a change, because the factory's been dormant a while. So everything caught back up, and you see it's actually being overloaded because we need to produce this fuel. So I wouldn't be surprised if we were burning fuel blocks right now. Yeah, we are. Because it probably drops it down to like 25 or 30%, something like that. And we're not going to see it happen because the sun is rising. But yeah, we were actively burning fuel blocks, so as long as that's occurring, we're using the fuel oils, so there's going to be extra mineral oil available. Well, as far as any other changes to the factory, I'm not really thinking of any. The wall is doing a pretty good job of holding up to the biters and sometimes keeping it clean when the gathering turrets decide to work. Biter evolution is creeping down. There's not going to be any water left by the time all those biters have died. It's like a wall of bodies from the biters filling in the oceans. But otherwise, everything else is pretty good. There's always the roving horde. And of course, beyond artillery range, there's many biters still chilling out. But I feel like we're pretty safe right now. We've got all of our acids reliably created. We're completely out of stone, which is interesting. I imagine that is just because we've been making all that concrete and we've needed a bunch of stone for it. Because we did hook up the slag grinder again. And let's see, what is it set at? Well, that's set to mineralized water being low. And crushed stone is low. So it actually shouldn't be running. So I'm kind of curious about how that level got so low. Because now all of it is either going towards making the slurry or getting ground into stone. And the slurry certainly has its uses, but nothing is actively running. Well, one way it might have disappeared is because we've been using so much crushed stone to make regular stone for the purposes of concrete, that when this turns on, it gets equally distributed everywhere, even though it's only being turned on by the status of mineralized water. So if mineralized water is low, half of the stone ends up not even going towards mineralized water at all. But I can't immediately see anything wrong with the factory or what would have caused that. And it's fine. It's not like being low on slag is an issue. It's created everything we need to, so you see all the belts are full. So there is no shortage of any given resource. So it's probably nothing to worry about. But with that, I think we have everything prepared for the purposes of making ingots. Because there's a lot that goes into it. And we've gotten 2 of the 3 steps ready to go. Because now we have all of the various ingot types ready to go. Now the next step here is to create an ingot bus and a priority system for those ingots to go. And then we have to create all of the alloys and pump them in to their appropriate train station. But that's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.